This is part one of a series talking about credit. And I feel as though credit is something that we talk about in society, and there's definitely elements though that we talk about more than others. So like I think everyone kind of hears about credit score, but I wanted to dive deeper into, well, first, what is a credit report, and then we can talk deeper into credit scores in the following part. But today's main course, which is credit reports. So there are a few things that your credit report does have. So that's going to be your personal information, like your name, your addresses that may have been present on loan applications, your date of birth. But then there's also going to be like how many times you've asked for an extension of credit, and that can be known as either credit inquiry or I found out doing research on this, some people also call it credit request. So like if you filled out an application for a credit card or like a mortgage application, now if it does go, if the like certain applications decide to do a hard pull versus a soft pull against your credit, like a hard pull, it will be on your credit report. Soft pull, it won't be on your credit report. So like some credit card applications, like they may not show up on your credit report since they decided to do a soft pull versus a hard pull. But besides credit inquiries, there's also going to be information about like if you potentially had any collections or bankruptcies, that will be displayed on your credit report. But I think the meat and potatoes that it will be on your credit report is your credit accounts, and that is, those credit accounts are called trade lines. So first, to discuss trade lines, while there are a lot of different credit products out there, they're kind of categorized into revolving, which means that like credit cards or like lines of credit where the balance due each month can vary. It's based off of how much you actually spend. Like, so I might have a line of credit of like X amount, but I only spend like way less than that. Like whatever I spend on that is what is actually due. So like if the line of credit I have is like 5,000, but I only spend 100, well, that amount due is only 100. So moving on from revolving, there's also installment loans where it breaks down or amortizes your like full amount of the loan over a period of time. And so those can be like mortgages, those can be auto loans, those can be like any type of like, or like personal loans, like anything where like the loan amount was this, like let's just say 20,000, and the contract, it was decided that the payment would be like $200 for each month. That would be an installment loan. And then other accounts could be like if you had a collection or stuff like that. So now that we kind of went over the different types of credit accounts, going into what is on each trade line. So the first thing is the creditor, and that's really whoever you're creating this financial obligation with. So that's like, it could be a bank, but also if your utility company is deciding that they want to send your information to the credit reporting agencies, and in that case your creditor is your utility company. From there, it'll talk about if it's an installment loan or a revolving account, and then in addition to that, it'll also talk about like what type of loan it is. So let's talk about if it's a mortgage, if it's an auto loan, if it's a credit card. Then there's the balance. For the balance, like again, for if it's a credit card, and I spent $100, my balance would be the $100. But for an installment loan, that balance could be what the actual full amount of the loan was. So like in this case, 20,000 was like a car loan. That 20,000 could be there. Then from there is the monthly payment amount. This is the amount that is described in the contract for what I must pay. So if installment loan, so if that 20,000 was broken down and it was decided that $200 is what I owe each month, that monthly payment is $200. But then for credit card, it could be like what the credit card company in the contract decides is my monthly minimum payment. So like if it's $15, it's $15. And lastly, it's your payment history. And your payment history, I talked about this more in depth in a video where I walked through a credit report on my blog, but it will go over how many times you were delinquent or you missed a payment. In other words, within the last 30, the last 60, and the last 90 days. Some credit reports could also kind of have more details about if there was more adverse activity on that account. And to close out this briefer on credit reports, by federal law, you are entitled once a year to request your credit report from Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. It does look as though these companies also decided to provide provide weekly credit reports as well. However, at least for TransUnion, I noticed that they do say that your credit score won't be on the weekly credit report, but it is just helpful maybe potentially to view and see that all the activity that is on your credit report is actually your activity, because then that might be cause for investigation, just to kind of see like, well, I'm not sure what this is, like why is this on my credit report. I hope this was helpful and looking to talk more. Bye.